G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Let's go. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my racist in-laws even though they apologized? When my husband and I got married a decade ago, we had no money and so really couldn't afford much. My husband felt so bad about it all because, unlike me, he comes from money, but because his family was against our marriage, I'm Asian, he's white, they completely cut him off. For the record, I wasn't expecting financial assistance from them, but it hurt that just because I'm Asian, they thought that I was with my husband only for the money. Naturally, we haven't had any contact with his side of the family since. Well, for our upcoming 10th wedding anniversary, we can now afford to splurge a little, so we have decided to have a vow renewal ceremony in style. Given how terrible it has been mentally for all of us over the last 2 years, we've decided on a trip abroad to relax, have fun, and just enjoy a vacation with those closest to us. And because my parents wouldn't be able to afford to come otherwise, we have gifted the entire trip to them as a thank you for everything they have done for us. Somehow his family has learned that, hey, not only am I not a gold digger, but that my husband and I are doing well for ourselves and are about to celebrate our 10th anniversary. They reached out to us with an apology and an offer of a gaudy monstrosity of a ring to use for our vow renewal ceremony. I'm not interested in their token non-apology and certainly have no intention of wearing something that's not at all my taste just for the sake of familial harmony. Plus, my engagement ring was a gift from my mum. It was my grandmother's engagement ring that my mum also wore, so it has incredible sentimental value. My husband was behind me 100% until he learned from his sister that his grandmother was dying and that she wished to mend things with him. I reluctantly agreed to visit, but made sure that we came to an agreement on a few things beforehand, including how his family aren't invited to our vow renewal and I'm not wearing their ring. Unfortunately, she passed before we could visit, and his family have been hounding and guilt-tripping both of us ever since, trying to get us to invite them to our ceremony. I refused, but my husband is wavering. He kept saying that they apologized. They haven't really, and that we could educate them. When he wouldn't let it go, I basically told him that since he's not Asian, he has no right to accept an apology and extend forgiveness for racism perpetuated against an Asian, and that it's not my responsibility to educate racists on why racism is wrong. And honestly, my parents shouldn't have to deal with racists on what should be a vacation. He said he understood and apologized to me, but he's been distant. I don't want to go ahead with our trip when things are so awkward between us, but everyone has already committed financially and we can't afford to refund them at all. And I'm now wondering if I'm an arsehole for not trying harder with his family. Now in the comments, not the arsehole. It's pretty extreme to go from no contact for 10 years to let's all go on a vacation together. I think it's very reasonable to do the trip as planned with your parents, and if your husband is wanting to reconnect with his family, maybe start with a lunch, not a vacation. And OP says, that's a good idea, thanks. Yes, and schedule the lunch after the vacation. That way you know they aren't playing nice just for the free holiday. 100% this. It sounds like they are jealous and want a free vacation too, or only did it because Graham asked them to. See how much contact they want after OP's vow renewal. Given that they are from money, I don't think it is the free vacation they are after. It's things that money can't buy, like a relationship with their son, but they threw that away. Their circumstances may have changed. There is a lot of overlap between people who are racist and people who make remarkably poor life choices. Also, I wonder how much of the money was actually grandma's. Not the arsehole. They never sat down and reflected on their racist judgment of you. They never learned anything about themselves and their preconceptions. They just waited too long to keep insisting that they were right. Their change of tune is a reaction to your external circumstances, not their internal growth. And OP replies, and honestly, they haven't grown. Their apology didn't contain a single word of actual apology to me, just to my husband. This sounds like my in-laws, and your husband like mine. It's a bit of delusion mixed in with selfishness at wanting his family back amid wearing rose-tinted glasses again. They want him, not you, and you may want to remind him if you two are a team, or is this a divide and conquer set of rules now? You were completely correct to point out they haven't apologized, and as such, they are not people you wish to be around. Heck, even with a decent apology, you would not be obliged to spend time with them. I'm really sorry you are having to go through this. Make sure you have your own support, not the arsehole. And now on to the update. Per your suggestions, I told my husband that our vow renewal is not the place for us and his family to have a reunion, given this is to be a celebration of the past 10 years of our marriage, something his family had no part in and were vehemently against. If they wish to apologize and start over, we could meet for lunch or coffee after our trip. He then confessed to what some of you had guessed. His family knew about the vow renewal because he kept in regular contact with his sister, and he told her to let the rest of the family know about the event in hopes that we could mend things. Since it's been 10 years, he thought they'd see they were wrong about me and wrong to cut him off. It was why he kept pressuring me to forgive them despite their lack of an apology or any show of change, because he hoped that if we all just met, things would work itself out and he would be welcomed back into the fold. The guilt over going behind my back and sadness over what happened was why he had been so withdrawn. I was furious and hurt that he had lied to me for a decade. It was a lie of omission, but a lie all the same, and while I understood clinging on to the hope that his racist family would one day see the light, I couldn't understand why he never once asked for an apology from his sister, or if she was even sorry for the terrible things she had said to me. I needed some time, so I moved back in with my parents. While I was gone, his parents and his sister came for a visit. Unfortunately, the reunion wasn't what he had hoped for. They were completely unrepentant, and their renewed racist vitriol against me was worse. He also learned why they were so adamant about attending our vow renewal when they were still clearly against our marriage. As many of you thought, they just wanted a free vacation. As for the gaudy monstrosity of a ring, it was to be alone for just the duration of the ceremony. He was furious and he kicked them all out, and this time he went full no contact. He profusely apologized for lying and begged me to forgive him for his stupidity. We are seeking marriage counseling, and though we still have a long way to go, we are definitely on the same page, especially with respect to his family. We have also decided to turn our trip into just a vacation. All of the guests understand and are looking forward to decompressing on a warm sandy beach. Oh, and his grandmother's will was an interesting read. My husband ended up inheriting a part of her estate. And the best of all, she left the gaudy monstrosity of a ring to me. I'm not sure what to do with the thing. My friends are divided on whether I should offer to sell it to mother-in-law or keep it and horrify them with the reality that their piece of history is being owned by an Asian. My husband doesn't care either way, and I look forward to your suggestions. Thank you all so much for your help. Now in the comments, I used to work in end-of-life care and saw a lot of elderly people on their deathbeds realize the hatred they held on to wasn't worth it, far too late, and not exactly deserving of forgiveness, but perhaps that's what she had in mind in leaving you the ring. Aside from that though, I am a petty person, and I agree with everyone who says to keep and wear it very obviously in photos. I have no doubt Grandma gave the ring as a peace offering. She knew what she was doing. OP, you should turn it into something new, the way Grandma tried to turn over a new leaf. I'm glad to know that your husband finally realized how stupid he was and apologized for his behavior. He was right to go completely no contact with your in-laws. I am sorry that you had to endure so much, but wish you and your husband the very best. As for the ring, sell it and use the money to travel to a beautiful country that both you and your husband have always wanted to visit. Yeah, he was dumb for thinking that they would be forgiving even when they didn't actually apologize. I would go with hopeful rather than dumb. Hope can be a dangerous thing. Our next post is titled, Am I the Arsehole for lying to stepmom that I didn't win a competition? My stepmom had a baby when she was 20. She gave away the baby for adoption. Her daughter, 20, reached out to her last year. Her daughter lived like 5 miles from our home, and she has been around a lot. Mum is overjoyed to see her. They have the same face, and people instantly know they are related. They share the same mannerisms and even the same interests. She is just like Mum. I am just a nerd. If I was in high school with my mum, I would be a weird Asian girl that she didn't talk to. I can clearly see how great their relationship is. Mom is nice and caring with me, but it's just different. She can't really have a conversation about my interests, and she has such an amazing relationship with her. Her daughter even has started to call her mum, and I don't know, I just can't compete with her. Like, she's the daughter she probably wanted and not someone like me. I took part in a competition in school. We won, but when she asked me about the competition, I lied and told her that I didn't win. She always makes a fuss when I won anything, and I was not prepared for her to ignore it this time. So I lied. She said it was okay and consoled me. I felt like a real asshole at that moment. I forgot that she talks to my friend's mum, and she found out through her that I had won it. She asked me about it, and I told her that I had won it, and she's upset about me lying to her. She didn't punish me or anything, but she was very upset and concerned for me. I kept brushing her questions aside, and she let it go, but I know she is still hurt by it. She doesn't talk about it, but I know she was really hurt by it. I feel like a huge asshole for lying. I shouldn't have lied. Now in the comments, no assholes here. Try talking to your stepmom about how you feel about her. I'm a stepmom and I love my kids so much, and if they wrote this, my heart would shatter. I have never tried taking the place of their real mum, but I've always tried to be there for them, and I'm sure your stepmom would hate to know that you feel displaced, or that you feel like you have to compete at all. I hope you feel better about this soon, honey. My heart aches for you. To be clear, OP, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk to your stepmother about this because she will feel bad. It's something you two should have a conversation about because she will want to know even if it hurts, so she can try finding a solution. Differing personalities between parents and children is something that affects relationships more as children grow older and develop those personalities. You are young, and you guys are still finding a balance that works for you while the dynamics are still shifting. It's natural that you would feel insecure. Being a teenager is hard as it is. But your stepmom sounds like she loves you, and I'm sure you two will work it out. If it helps, it's possible her older daughter feels similar insecurities about your relationship to your stepmom. It's a rough patch you are all going through while adjusting to this new situation. You shouldn't have lied, but it would be harsh to call you an asshole. I think that you need to have a talk with your stepmother. You obviously have some issues with anxiety and insecurity over the situation with this newfound daughter, and if you don't address them, they are going to balloon up all out of proportion. I know you might find it difficult to say anything, but trust me, if you don't, you will feel increasingly worse. A simple, honest conversation now will save you a bunch of pain and suffering later on. Just because your stepmom has reconnected with her daughter doesn't mean she no longer cares for you. And now on to the update. The commenters were so helpful. They told me to talk to her. They reassured me that she loved me. I couldn't bring myself to talk to her, so I sent her this post instead. She read it and came into my room and hugged me. She told me she loved me. It took me half an hour to calm down. She told me she loved me, and she promised she would take more interest in my hobbies so that we can talk about it. She also said she was really worried about the way I wrote about myself, and she said that I seriously should consider going to a counselor because I had very low self-esteem, and nobody thought of me the way that I wrote about myself. I don't know about that, but I think I do need some help because I've not been happy for a long time. Now in the comments, I'm glad to see a good outcome out of this. Your mum clearly loves you, cares about you, and is worried about you. I hope the counselor can help you. Your mum really loves you, and she is right. You do seem to struggle with self-esteem. The fact that mum and your stepsister look and act alike has no bearing on her love for you. When she chose your dad, she knew that you were a part of the package and she wanted you both. So glad you opened up to her. May I suggest you find something to do together that is just for the two of you? It's often healthy for parents to do one-on-one things with all their kids, since all kids are different and should be seen as individuals. It makes me happy to know the positive outcome. Thanks for letting us know. And indeed, for many Am I the Arseholes that are involved in the relationship sphere, I feel it works well to have all involved read the replies as to understand the various perspectives on the matter. In your case, it was a great way to have your mum understand what was difficult for you to put into words directly. It's truly a great step in the direction to express your feelings. I'm so glad that you were able to show her the post. If writing things out is easier for you than saying them, that can be a really useful tool. I was the same way for a very long time, and it's only because of the help that I got from my loved ones and a really great therapist that I can have emotional conversations now. I really hope you have a good experience with the first counselor you meet with, but if anything feels weird or uncomfortable, please let your stepmom or someone else know. It's not you being difficult or a problem. Sometimes you just aren't a good match with a provider, and that means you are not being helped as much as you deserve. And our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for not wanting to speak to my cousin after she pranked me and made me leave a party? I, 21 female, have a cousin/BFF, 22 female. Recently, while I was at the club, I got a call from her basically in a state of panic. She had called me because her boyfriend had passed out after having a seizure and she didn't know what to do. Her boyfriend has some sort of heart condition, so I was freaking out. I couldn't hear that well because of the music, but I could hear her crying and having a panic attack. I told her to calm down and call 911, and then to call me back when they get there. I currently am living in another state 20 hours away, so there's not much I could do, but since she was freaking out, I left my friends and walked back to my apartment at 1 a.m, calling anyone that was near her to go check on her. On my way back, I got catcalled twice. Normally, I would never put myself in that situation, but I just couldn't stay at the party. I called her back, no answer. At this point, I'm freaking out. I get to my apartment and I call her, and her boyfriend picks up the phone and I was confused. I asked if he was okay and he said yeah, and then I asked for my cousin and he put her on, and when I asked her what happened, she told me it was just a dare/prank. When I tell you I broke out into tears, I was so mad that I told her off and hung up. She keeps texting and calling, but I don't respond. I am really upset with her. Something like that isn't a funny prank. So am I the asshole for not wanting to talk to her? Now in the comments, not the asshole. Pranks are supposed to be funny, not make you worry about those you care about. Yep, so funny to make a loved one think someone is dying. Hilarious. People are so stupid about pranks these days. And she was at personal risk walking home alone like that. I don't know why more comments aren't concerned with the walking home by herself at 1 a.m. thing. That's what jumped out to me the most. It's the sort of stupid thing that I did all the time when I was younger with an I can take care of myself mentality. In reality, it can be very dangerous. OP, I'm glad you got home safe. I hope you were able to patch things up with your cousin and that she genuinely apologizes for such a stupid, thoughtless prank. Not the asshole. This kind of crap is how some people ignore real emergency calls. There was a post where some stupid idiot pranked OP until he ignored her claim that she was in labor because she had lied about it while he was at work, making him leave the office. But she finally was in labor for real, and then she got all snitty that her lies created problems for her. She doesn't get to jerk you around emotionally, and you get to choose when you feel like talking to her, not her. Am I the asshole for pranking the other villagers into believing there was a wolf? Not the asshole. Pranks are not supposed to cause such worrisome reactions where someone's safety can be compromised. It reminds me of the time my friend's older brother played a prank on her when she was learning to drive. He hid in the back seat and jumped out at her when she was on the freeway. Poor thing crashed, and he went flying through the windshield because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I hope she learns her lesson because what she did was cruel and definitely not funny. And now on to the update. It's been about a month and a half since my last post, and a few things have happened. First, I want to thank everyone who commented. It really made me think about our relationship and the things that led up to that night. Since that happened, I have kept low contact like some of y'all suggested. It has put things into perspective. Now the update. After the initial incident, my cousin didn't message me for 3 weeks. At first, I thought she expected me to reach out first or something. She didn't message me until the Monday before Thanksgiving. We were both going to be in town. When she messaged me, the only thing she asked was if I was still mad, and I replied yes. In response, she messaged, "Alright, great talk." After reading this, I then responded back with a long message asking how she expected me to forgive her when she couldn't even message me to apologize sober. We got into a heated argument in which she said that although she is sorry and it was a bad joke that she did, it was still a joke. After that message, I stopped texting back. That made me even more mad that she couldn't be accountable for her actions. Come Thanksgiving Day, she comes over to my house without telling me and is chatting with my parents and I'm silent. After half an hour, she gets up to leave and my mum followed her. When my mum got back, she was upset with me because apparently she was going to spend Thanksgiving with me this year so she wouldn't be bored at her house. I told my mum that I didn't want to be near her, especially since we hadn't resolved our issues. My mum told me that I shouldn't hold a grudge against her anymore, but I can't. She broke my trust. We haven't spoken since. Now the adults in my family think that I'm the asshole. And now in the comments, still not the asshole, no matter what anyone in your family thinks. Your cousin owes you a sincere apology, not the qualified semi-apology that she delivered, and you are not obligated to accept anything else simply because someone else thinks that you should. The fact that she's your cousin doesn't excuse what she did, nor obligate you to just let it go. Her joke caused you emotional distress and to put yourself in harm's way, walking home alone at night. It doesn't matter if she didn't mean it, it still caused real damage. Not the asshole, and someone who can't take responsibility for the genuine harm they cause, even unintentionally, is not someone worth keeping in your life. Not just walking home alone at night, walking home alone at night after hanging out in a club and looking and acting both drunk and in hysterics. That could have ended in more than one disaster, and thank God it didn't. Harm you cause while drunk is still harm. If she were drunk driving and pulled a hit and run, would she still get off scot-free? No. Then why is this okay? It's not. And the fact that OP's mother isn't standing up for her own daughter is quite frankly despicable. No one is standing up for OP and instead are making sure the cousin knows what she did was acceptable because she was drunk. Tell your family that that isn't a grudge. It's that you don't trust her not to do something like that again, especially since she has never even given you a sincere apology, and that her reaction to hurting you has shown you who she really is as a person, and it's someone you don't want in your life, and they can respect that, or they can be cut out of your life too. This here, if she didn't apologize, includes half-assing, she's not acknowledging she's learned anything. Her arrogance is pathetic. The inability to apologize sincerely is a huge weakness. Family should support you and set cousins straight on this behavior. Like, do any of them want to deal with that crap? I'd let it go in front of family, but use your internal radar to avoid this child. She's got plenty adulting to do. Hey mom, if my partner calls you panicked, saying I'm unconscious, would you laugh when you found out that it was a lie? Do not contact me if the answer is yes, or you would forgive them for being that screwed up. This right here. Please tell your parents what the joke was, including that you put yourself at risk of assault by walking alone back home in the dark so she could play a prank. Pranks are only fun if both parties laugh. Ask them if she had called them and told them that you had been in a traffic accident and were in the ICU and likely to die, and they raced to get to you, and she said, "Oh, it was just a joke, why are you upset?" Would they find it funny? And with that, I'm going to end today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. As always, I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, or whatever you're up to. Drink some water. Please drink water. It's so good for you. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.